All right. Hi. Back again. I think that my audio is still working. Let me make sure. Looks like it. Yell if I'm not getting any sound for some reason, please. But hi, everybody. We're getting on to this 3 days of making an ambient EP. We're trying to anyway. We'll see where we really get live. I want to kind of start this out, just briefly talk about why I wanted to do this. Is that there's a lot of stuff in music where people think that that songs just get miraculously pulled out of someone's ass, right? And that they're amazing right off the bat, and that you're not a good musician if you can't just suddenly improvise a whole song with absolutely no issues. Now, by no means am I claiming myself to be a great musician, but I thought that going through this whole process and not doing any work on this that's not live might be a good way of just seeing that a lot of writing music is actually kind of crappy. And so you'll probably see me getting pissed off, and you'll probably see me being really happy, and all the things in between. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, and this is also very much open to all of you out there. So if you have suggestions on how I might tweak things, or things you want me to try, or things you think would sound better, or whatever, do let me know, because I'm open to input or your ideas in general. All right, so before we get started with this too, the other thing that I hinted out about in my little stream with the NerdSEQ here yesterday was that I have a couple of other new modules that I haven't shown yet. So they are right here. So I got this pair of FXAs from Happy Nerding, which are fantastic. I have played a little bit with them. It will allow me to get rid of my lo-fi junkie pedal, and I basically wouldn't need to buy a Blue Sky or anything, or the Big Sky Strymon pedal, because their algorithms, some of the algorithms on them are actually identical. I did an A/B of this with the Lo-Fi Junkie pedal, and on the same settings, it sounds exactly the same, which is great. Especially because you can load in different, there's up to 32 effects you can have in here, and you can load in whatever you want. So I've got this little sheet here now of all the effects that I've loaded in. Some are the default ones, some are new ones that I found. So I think this will be very useful. Very, very useful going forward with this. So I'm excited. And those are going to feature heavily in here. And I've got to do a little bit of shout out to the company that I work for, because the company I work for actually helped me to pay for these modules, because they're very good at supporting the things that we like to do in our spare time, and supporting our own personal development, which is obviously really tough to do right now for a lot of people because of the whole pandemic thing. So big thanks to them for letting me get these, and yeah, let's see what we can come up with. So hey, Techno Bear, thanks for coming by. Okay, so let me show you just a little bit of the prep that I did. I didn't do a huge amount, but I wanted to have, first off, just some samples that might be interesting. So let's just go through those first. That's going to be on the assimilator here, which I think I'm actually already in the right folder for. Yes. Okay, so there's a few samples in here, so let me just load them all. I won't load all the acoustic guitar ones. I basically got a bunch of samples from a bunch of instruments, like non-electronic instruments, just to see if it might be something I can use in all of this. Last one. Okay, so let's just have a listen to these and make sure that they actually came across properly, because they might not have. Longer cables. Just put these into the outs. Very quiet. So one of the things I got was a bunch of different samples of an acoustic guitar playing C in different ways. So I figure somewhere in all of this I might end up making doing zones in the assimilator so that I can have it play randomly pick one of the different samples so it sounds a little more natural. That might be cool. What else have I got? A flute playing C, just barely. I got a kalimba, which I was going to sample myself, but I didn't get time to. Whoa, all right, that's not good. Why is this so loud? Whoa. Yep, something's definitely messed up about that sample. Okay, we'll have to deal with that another time. And then we got a piccolo, and I don't remember what this is. Oh yeah, some sort of Japanese flute thing. So that was cool. Hi, Michael. Off topic, from what I'm looking at right now, do I have a cheat sheet for Typhoon? No. I wish I did, because it is. A lot of the things are a mix between reading the Cloud's Parasites manual and reading the Supercell manual, and then sort of extrapolating it to the way that the Typhoon is laid out. It is a good point that something like that would be very useful, but I think the large majority of the more hidden things that are in Typhoon are described in Supercell's manual, so try that. That's kind of your best bet that I know of from what exists right now. Okay, so every sample there worked except for I have no idea what was wrong with the kalimba sample. That was really weird. Okay, we'll probably clear out all these samples later on, but we'll make them into something interesting. I was going to put these in the NerdSEQ, but of course the NerdSEQ's got very little sample memory, and you know it's 8-bit or very limited 8-bit raw or very limited bit rate wave files. So I'm like, nah, I don't want to bother converting, etc., etc. Yeah, no worries, Michael. Okay, so where do I want to start with this? For me, when I start making stuff, I don't typically have a plan or an idea or really anything in mind. I'm not one of those type of people, as you might have seen in some of my other streams, I'm not one of those type of people that just suddenly has an inspiration and can hear a tune in my head or anything like that. I really have to play around with things and see what I can come up with that might sound interesting. So maybe let's start with this whole acoustic guitar thing. Yeah, this will be, at the very least, this will be a good refresher on how the assimilator works. So I am sure that I'm going to want some effects for it. So I think I'll take, is this going to be long enough? We'll take, I don't think we need it in stereo particularly, but it will come out of the FX8 in stereo. What algorithm should we use? Probably some kind of reverb. Right now we're on tape delay, which is not really what we want. So we could try, how about reverb spooky? That's reverb spooky, which apparently comes from the Empress pedal, which is cool. I would have figured those algorithms to some degree would have been like copyrighted or something, but I guess they just are able to do enough of a approximation, which is cool. Okay, this can come out, and we'll just get the left and right out and see where this brings us to. And we'll hook this up with NerdSEQ in a sec here, and let's turn up the dry wet. Whoa. That does not sound like I expected it to. It's also very quiet. Hey, Forrestine. Thanks for coming by. All right, so according to this, for reverb spooky, oh, it's stereo in, stereo out. Okay, so we shouldn't use that. How about reverb cloud, which is from the Big Sky? That's mono in, stereo out. Oh yeah, that's nice. And then what have we got? Decay time, chorus, and diffusion are on these, so big decay time. We'll see how that works out. Chorus is already maxed and diffusion is already maxed. I mean, we can play around with those if we feel the need to change them, but that's enough for like a little start. Okay. You're catching up on my NerdSEQ video. Am I going to hook up a game controller? If I had one, I would certainly try it, but I don't, because I'm not fully convinced yet that I'm switching to the NerdSEQ. So we'll see, but if I do, I will almost undoubtedly end up trying it, because I think that concept is really interesting. Okay, let me just put these cables back before things get too complex here. Okay, so let's go to the NerdSEQ. Let's set this up to sequence this whole thing. So first off, I don't think defaults to BPM of 128. I definitely don't want that. So let's turn this down to, oh geez, I don't know, 70, sure. Okay. And let's make sure, let's use this first track. This first track will do it through the CV expander so that we have lots of CV. Yes, we have lots of CV plus, well, actually, I don't know how easy it is in the NerdSEQ yet to convert between the different types of tracks. So I don't think the patterns are interchangeable. How complex? Well, this one might not actually be that complex because it's just a sample. We can only really modulate effects and filters and things with it. I wouldn't really modulate that much to do with the actual sample. So let's just keep this as a normal track that would be not involving the expanders. So let's, there is a way to rename this track setup. No. Oh, no. Gotta remember. Because I'd like to have this organized nicely so that the NerdSEQ gives you a lot of information and I'd like to be able to see the name rather than no name. Where is it? I know there's a way to do it. It's not under track assign, right? Nope. Might be actually, maybe you don't name the tracks, maybe you just name the patterns. Anyway, okay, well, we'll figure that out. For now, let's make a new pattern. And this, I believe you can rename. Yeah, you can edit the pattern name. So we don't know what this is yet, so let's not do that yet. Let's get this hooked up. So we'll need longer cables. As my modular is growing, I'm finding I'm barely using my short cables and need the long ones all the time. So we'll get trigger and CV. Trigger's on the orange and CV's on the purple. To still not be long enough. I'll get another longer orange and purple one. Okay, orange trigger. To trigger that, purple CV to CVA, which by default on the assimilator CVA is pitch. So let's see what we can get with this. I'll just start by just setting a note and make sure that we can hear it. Yep. Now, the way that this has been set up in the assimilator is that we're in gated mode, so it's the trigger length that NerdSEQ actually sends does matter now, because it didn't in the video yesterday because we were just using it to trigger an envelope or things like that, or to trigger Platt's envelope, but in this case, it's really short because it's a really, really short trigger that NerdSEQ sends. We only seem to be getting the right channel, eh? Okay. Hang on a minute. Let's try this again. Any better? Getting both channels yet? Wait for your response while I keep going here. So we're gonna need a longer trigger, which is done in this trigger column right here. So it says at the bottom what each of the trigger types are. We don't want a delayed gate, we want a trigger of a certain length. So, I don't know. We definitely don't want gate on because that's just gonna be on permanently. So we could either switch this to a one-shot mode or in a simulator, or we can mess around more with the trigger lengths, but I don't think that you can actually get a long enough trigger. You can't really customize the length of the trigger to be a second long or anything like that. So seems good now? Okay, great. Yeah. One of the problems with this little guy is it's so easy to knock the little gain knobs for the H6 out of whack, and then everything doesn't sound right. Okay, so let's just to keep things simple, let's use one-shot mode instead of gated mode, and we'll see. Now we don't need a trigger with this because it will be added by default. So okay, so it can play a note. That's good. This is where things are going to get fun because, like I was saying in the last stream, I'm used to kind of generating a random pattern and then that's in key and then tweaking it. But now with the NerdSEQ, you're kind of actually programming things, and there's not as much random generation of like entire sets of stuff that are in key. So this is going to be more interesting because now I have to compose crazy. Although, admittedly, the CV is not responding, so let's fix that. So channel 1, we have to go to pitch, and pitch is off, so change that, the pitch mod source to CVA. Okay. Oh. That makes for a some interesting ambience. This is pitching it way down. Like 3 or 4 octaves down. Very dark. I wonder. Because that is really cool sounding. Just gonna mess around with some notes here. Interestingly clicky, which is unfortunate. Depending on when you reset, which that can get annoying. So let's see, there may be a way to get around that actually. Change this around and tell it only to load. I think there's some way to get it to only load the left channel. I might be wrong. I have this load another thing's other channel. Let's see. No, because it's Oh, I have to change this to not stereo right to be just master. There we go. Okay, so now we've got just the left channel, which is good. Still not going to help the clickiness. The clickiness comes because this is monophonic, right? You could make this not monophonic so we could do this. Come through the mix instead. And then what we'd have to do is have two channels that are both using that acoustic guitar left guy. And then I think you set this to not cycle. I think this is what it is. Well, I mean that won't actually help because we need channel 2 to be one shot. Now, of course, they don't, but you can hear now that they are sort of duophonic. In order to get what we really need here, we'll have to go and mult out that CV value so they both play the same. Actually, no, I don't need to mult that out. What am I talking about? Or, well, maybe. I do need to modify the pitch. So I can set the pitch for this second track to be the A input for the first track, and then I don't need to mult that. That saves me some cables and confusion. So this should be now sort of duophonic, right? There's still a possibility of getting the popping noise, but you can have more than one overlapping note now. Hey Dirty, thanks for coming by. And someone else named PK. That's funny. All right, so that gives us something. Now we need to experiment around with this some more. So do we want it to be that low? That's the question. So this needs to be something pretty slow to work well with the reverb. So for the sake of my music theory ability, I think I will stick in just C major. That's about as good as I'm gonna get. So let's just see what we can do here. It means that as long as I don't use any accidentals, I'm technically okay. I'm just gonna put something random in here and let's kind of see what we get. I don't know, okay. And then we need to put in a break so that this will reset. Now the only problem that you can hear there is it sounds sort of unnatural, right? Because it's cutting off the sample before it finishes because it's being gated again. Is there a random button to fill the screen? That I can't remember. There's a way to randomize an individual value. Like I can go blah, and then that should have randomized things. Maybe it needs to be this. Yeah, so that randomized the value. Something that was way too low, but I don't remember what that was. I think it was a G. So yeah, it doesn't quite have that level of randomization as far as I understand, but randomize pitches and steps when you've already placed notes. Won't add, yeah, that's the thing. It won't add more, which is the sort of thing that the Vector has that is nice. Okay, so let's listen to this one more time again. wonder if there is a way for us to get around this and have it be have it ring out more. There might not be. I might have to use 3 channels to do that. So, well, all right, let's use a 3rd channel. Why not? We're still playing around with what this is even going to be. So for channel 3, which was the flute, we'll use again the acoustic guitar left and put it in, oops, sorry, so you can see what I'm doing. So acoustic guitar left and in cycle mode. So now we kind of have 3 voices that can all, oh, and I need to set the, set it to 1 shot. And we will set up its pitch to once again come from 1A. Okay. So is this going to be enough to make it sound a little better? Let's see. Not quite. It's still a little fast too. So there should be a way, I believe, in NerdSEQ to make track run at like a different rate. I think it's one of the effects you have to set. Let's find it. Select track clock. Oh, regular clock. Okay. Whoa, not divide by 2. All right, let's see if that. Okay, it's interesting that wasn't an immediate thing, but cool. Let's catch up on chat here. Yes, it does randomize over a very wide range. I've certainly noticed that. Oh, there's an overall track multiplier. Okay, maybe I'll do that instead of using FX on the clock. Should be in track setup probably, he said. Oh, track clock. Oh, the track clock's already. I wonder if that's just because I put that in there. It's already at divide 2. Cool. Okay. Good. I guess then if I had another pattern on this track I wanted playing at a different rate, it would, of course, I'd have to change that using the FX. Okay, I don't like this note. Don't like it when it gets that high. Still not the greatest sound, but let's see if I can set up the zones cycling thing again that you can do on a simulator. So we have to select a channel here and go into zones. And then we can add additional samples to the zone, which I think I only got 3 of them, so that's good. And then, not the zone select mod source, but the zone selection type to random. So that should cause channel 1 to pick one of these 3 samples. So let's see if that's the case. Not sounding like it. Let's just temporarily go back here and turn these off of cycle. Just back to master, just to make sure we're dealing with that one channel. Slightly different, okay. So put this back in cycle, does it work? Might have to just trigger it enough times here. Yeah, okay, so that's working now. So we just have to set the other two channels with the same thing. I may or may not use that higher one because that might change things a little too much when it's set to random. But random, and then the last channel, channel 3, and set up those zones. And in random mode. Okay. Okay, let's just see what this does to the pattern. It'll be interesting to see. Does have an interesting impact. I kind of almost like the two new zones, things that I added, and not as much the first one that's like with the more attack to it. Just see what else it owns. But yeah, I agree. Having the sort of randomization that Vector, if NerdSEQ had the kind of randomization that Vector Sequencer has, I think it would be a no-brainer that I would switch. Like, no question at all. Okay, so I was saying I don't actually really like that initial sound, but I like the other two. So let's do this. We're gonna have to set this up again. Okay, so we actually want to use, this is going to be tough to do, hold on. Set this to this one. I've set the first channel to the second sample. And then I can maybe remove this one. Does it let me? No, that's copy zone. Probably set it to nothing, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so now it's just the soft one and the higher pitch. So let's do that for all the channels. Take just a second to get rid of ones we don't want. And here again. And get rid of this one that we don't want. Okay, how's this sound now? I almost feel like these are actually might be more useful in two different sections rather than being randomly chosen to be able to switch from the lower to the higher one. So I think I'm going to get rid of those zones that I have on there altogether and just stick with that lower sound for the moment. Let's get rid of it. Oh, no. And this one. Get rid of it. Okay, so now we should have just that really soft. It's a little clicky in the beginning still, so let's just make sure there's a setting in here. Where is it? Yeah, the smooth setting that sometimes helps. Still a little clicky. Although it's interesting, it doesn't seem like it's actually... Oh, the first one got set to cycle. It was supposed to be on master. That's why. Let's see. No, that's still... I'm just looking at the cycling of all the... Oh. So watch the cycling of these. Notice that they don't always actually advance, which is interesting. I'm not sure why that is. It might be two gates that are too close together or something. Because I expected it to continuously cycle through all of these. And it pops when it's staying on the same one for longer than we want. How does this sound fully wet, by the way? Kind of nice. Let's see, just from curiosity's sake, purely from learning more about the NerdSEQ as I go here, let's see if I can use the mod out from NerdSEQ to make it switch to the higher sample. So in order to do that, I'm gonna need another long cable. So we'll come out of the mod for this track. And we'll go into the mod, we're going to CVB here. So what we'll have to do to set this up is go into the zones again, add that high one, turn this off from zone selection type of random, and turn it on to zone select mod source to be CVB. So now we should be able to send modulation in from the NerdSEQ and get it to change to the higher pitch. So set that up on all the channels. Gate rise. This needs to be 1B, and we'll add the higher sample. And the same thing on channel 3. Higher sample. Gate rise 1B. Okay. So back to the NerdSEQ. We'll use the mod here to do that. So I can use the mod if I want it to always be this way, but I might want this to be more of a probability thing, or I might want it to be a separate pattern. So let's just see if this works first. So we have to turn this way up, I'm guessing. And we should also make another one where it drops it back down to nothing. Actually, there's a good possibility that I may have to do it in the step beforehand, because it looks a simulator looks for a rising gate to determine that it needs to change. So. Oh, so this is a +5 to -5 now, actually. If you look on the assimilator, the diagram, anything above 0 volts is going to be the low, and anything below 0 volts is going to be the high. So I don't know whether NerdSEQ outputs... this negative voltage on the mod output. You probably know, Dirty. In the meantime, I think that I can at least adjust, yeah, the ranges here somehow. Oh, actually, what I have to do is so I have to distribute these. How the heck do you do this again? Zone minimum voltage. I think this is... I need another zone, so now I'm having to remember how this works again. There's a way also of having it auto distribute it through all this, but I've got to remember how that is. Is it a long press on one of these? No, that's for copy zone. Oh, how did this get set to 8A? This was meant to be 1B. CVB, 1B, 1B. Okay. Trying to find the key combo that I need here again. Might have to grab the manual. But let's... This is a zone with two things in it. I thought that... Just for a minute, I'm gonna turn off the cycling so that I can do this on one channel at a time. It's gonna sound a lot worse for a little while, but we'll sort this out in a second. Channel 1. Delete the modulation here and make sure we go back to... Nope, okay. Definitely playing the higher one. Interesting. Oop, don't knock the camera. You got into modular in July and bought your first modules as a graduation gift. You just started documenting your adventure. Awesome. I am glad that they are an inspiration for you. That's all I really want out of this, is to get other people into this weird ass hobby that we have. So that's awesome. What modules did you get? All right, I gotta figure out what I've done to the zones here in the meantime. Something is very odd. Okay, I can get it to switch between the two, so that's a good sign. I think actually it's continuous what I want. It might actually be the case. I'm just gonna borrow the mod input off of NerdSEQ here for a sec, and I'll move it into stages. I'm gonna just take a solid value out of stages so that I can see, make sure this is being triggered properly. So we got that set in, and then we'll go just see if I manipulate stages. Does it change the zone? Yes, so that's good. If I change the voltage on here to, I don't know, some value above 0. Yeah, okay. So stages is working. There might be something interesting that I'm not getting with the NerdSEQ about why that got stuck in a weird modulation value. Now, does this actually... Oh yes, and because I've got this set on continuous mode, now the sample can actually change mid-note, which is weird. I don't know that I want that, but... Probably want rising gate instead. Okay, so that's working. Put this back in NerdSEQ and see. NerdSEQ is outputting a large value for the mod output right now, which is interesting. Yeah, welcome to the black hole is right. just you know, preemptively burn your credit cards. Okay, so something interesting is going on with NerdSEQ in that it's outputting a very large value out of, or very large voltage out of the mod output when I don't think it should be, which is causing a simulator to think it's in a different zone and therefore play the high sample, which we don't want. So let's try resetting this again. Interesting. Why is it putting out such a high voltage? It shouldn't be. Is it inverted or something? Let's put out a really high value. What? What is going on here? All right, that's weird. So a really, really high note value, which I think that equates to a high CV value, does it not? Or high voltage, rather. Seems like something's inverted here. Interesting. It might be that I've actually got these samples on the wrong sides of each other. I gotta bring up the NerdSEQ manual again. But let's just for the sake of making this work, let's invert these two samples so they're on the opposite sides, and then I should get what I'm wanting here. So if I go back to NerdSEQ and insert just a 0 value, that should be the low. Yep, okay. Good, so I can delete that now. Now let's just make sure that I can set a single note to the high value. I don't know how high I'm gonna have to go, but let's see. Yeah, okay, I can set a single note, and can I set it off on the next one, and will that work? Yeah, takes a rotation to kind of sort itself out, but okay, good. So I just need to make sure I invert all the other channels too. So the one that ends in AR is on the top. So that's channel 1. AR, and the LE or TE one goes there. Same thing here. E. Okay. And then we need to set this to like the voltage relatively high. I did 1.95. I don't think it has to exactly match, but at least something. Definitely gonna have to refresh myself on the manual for a simulator, because I know there's a way to get it to automatically spread these across the zones, but I apparently don't remember. All right, that, and then we have to go back here and set these back to cycles so we don't get the notes popping as much. And we'll turn the dry wet back up. Let's see if everything's still working here. Yep. Okay, not that we necessarily want to do anything with the mod values right now, but it's good to know that that works. Which way is your main module's mod output voltage switch set? Oh. Set to the left side. Is that what you mean, these offset things? Let's just see. I mean, here, if I now put a Whoa. That did some weird stuff. I don't even remember seeing what these did in the manual. You bought the MCO Tides V1 or Tides V2? A wasp filter, which is a classic. Left is +5, -5, right is 0 to 10. Ah, okay. I did not know that, so that's very good to know. Okay. Ah, and that's what the CV expander switches are for. Makes sense. That's a really nice feature. Oh, wow, yeah, you've definitely got right into it there, Joaquin. Boy. Mass, Turing Machine, Typhoon, Pan's New Workout, yeah. Tides V2, nice. I've been tempted by that. It looks like very interesting for both modulation and for like making chords, which is kind of cool. So that's awesome. That's a lot to work with right off the bat. So nice work. Just gonna see if I can fix the position of this camera because I knocked everything out of alignment again. I'm very good at that. That's a bit better. Okay. Okay, so what we've already got here is decent as a sort of backing thing. This is the clouds. If you have a Big Sky, this is the clouds reverb, which from back when I had a Big Sky, I've always enjoyed. So. All right, let's start with this and let's see where we can go from here. This might be taking up too much of the frequency space, but I'm not sure. So let's go on to another track and let's do one from the CV expander this time. So, or well, actually, before I do that, let's see if I can remember what I'm doing here, which is that I want to copy a whole pattern. I want to clone a pattern, and I have to remember how the hell you do that to make another version of this pattern that's higher pitch. Well, actually, no, let's not. Let's try what we were talking about yesterday of having... I was going to say having the same pattern in multiple tracks, but I don't think you can make a pattern run in a different a track for the... Like I was saying earlier, you can't have a pattern that's on the default outs run with the CV outs, so never mind that. All right, let's just make a whole new pattern. We'll have to do a track assignment here so that this track 2 is set to the more CV16. That's good to know. That stops everything. Why aren't you? Oh, because I need to. There we go. Okay, so for this track, we'll need another pattern. And this is now on a CV track. So, let's do this with my really favorite-est module, Odessa, because it makes some very sweet sounds that I think will go along with this nicely. Odessa is multi-voice. I don't know that I'd be using anything chord-like out of it, but I might. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I can at least double it and have an octave up and an octave down or something. I don't know. Let's get this set up first. So in order to use Odessa, we need a VCA because it's a standard oscillator. We can try the envelopes out of the NerdSEQ actually. So we'll set that up in here, and maybe I'll use the low pass gate instead of a VCA, just because it makes for another interesting sound, I think. So. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I want to have the ability to have a lot of CV outs here so that I can modulate Odessa, because it takes well to that. I'm going to need a pitch out, at least one, if not two, and a trigger. So In order to do that, now I have to remember what I did yesterday, because I need to set each one of these tracks to track setup. This is what I want. Okay, so since we've already got a CV and trigger and mod here, we might as well use these first before we start using the CV outputs. So we'll set destination 1 to yeah, sure, track CV works. So that'll be for pitch, one thing of pitch anyway. And send track actually, this will be interesting. Oh, yeah, I'll have to use the FX to send the triggers, and that's fine. So destination 2, I guess, can be the mod, track mod. Okay. Do I have to save this, or does it? Holy cow, I never saw all these extra things on here. Whoa, so many settings. Okay. Oh, nice. It even changes the thing at the top to see track mod, track CV. That's cool. Okay. So this will be pitch. Let's just start out with getting a note out and make sure that this will even work. So we won't do anything with the mod yet, and then we'll need an FX slot to do. Let's go all the way down to the bottom so we can note, glide, modulator, triggers. So trigger 2. All right, we'll start with a trigger. I don't know that I'm gonna want a trigger, because what I probably want is the envelope out, but let's just make this make a noise first. Okay. So we were using track 2 CV, and that'll go up here just into the root for now for Odessa. And we'll take the trigger. With all this modulation that I'm doing from NerdSEQ now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to invest in a whole bunch more longer cables, because everything's going from NerdSEQ, which is at the bottom, to all my oscillators, which are at the top of the whole stack. So actually, I might not need one quite as long for this, for the trigger, because we're not going to go all the way up for now. We're just going to come from the trigger in the middle to our low pass gate here. I don't know how great this is going to necessarily be, but I mean, low pass gates have an amount of decay and stuff sort of built into them, so it could be good. I don't know. As I said, this is sort of my style of doing things, is experiment and see what happens. I have no concept of what this is even going to be like, but we'll see. Okay, so we'll just take the fundamental out from Odessa for now. Put that into the low pass gate, and out from there into the mixer. All right, let me just catch up with chat here. No, I'm already caught up with chat. Cool. Okay. By the way, if any of you know of an iPad holder, so you know how you can get the little things for camera mounting, for instance, that grip onto a tripod pole or something like that, and have like a camera mount on the end? If anyone knows of one of those that has like an iPad mount on the end, so that I can get my iPad in better view of everything, because all I've got is all these poles around me to attach to, do let me know, because that would be excellent. It would make things a lot easier and easier to keep up with chat, because I'm not having to walk to the other side of the room to see what's going on. Okay. Let's see if we can get this to do anything first. Okay. Yep. Apparently hitting OK on the CV expander tracks does not automatically do the trigger, which is kind of interesting. Okay. So, but let's, for now, we'll just make this a very, very short pattern. I don't even know how long that was, but. Okay. So we can make a sound, that's good. Let's play with the trigger. It's actually nice on just a very, very short one, but I mean, we'll switch to an envelope at some point here, so that's okay. Now I'm kind of curious about seeing if we can make this, oh geez, pick a random note. Relatively random. I think it'll be too random, but oops. I think I used one of those ones that triggered the next track. That was funny. Got 3 FX slots, right? Yeah. I wonder what pitch applies to in this case, because it's not applying to that track. Just looking through to see what I can find. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so this is the thing that I'm trying to see about from Vector Sequencer is in Vector Sequencer I can say, here's a note, randomly add some, or give a random chance to add some amount of pitch to said note. So I feel like the pitch thing that was there, like this, should be what does it. But I'm not really sure where the pitch is actually going out on. It may only work with a track that's not using the extended CV thing. Let's see. The other possibility would be the external CV or CV 2 in this case. I don't think that'll work because it's already influencing CV2. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you can do this. So let's just see if I can do what I want in a non CV expander track here. We'll change this back to modular. It'll remove my pattern. That's okay. Let's try this again. So we want to see something. Sure, C5 with a short trigger, and it was like this long or something. Okay, so now let me see if I can do what I wanted. Yeah, okay, this is more like what I wanted. So, man, I definitely think I may need the manual for this because now I'm getting into what equates to so this can't be the maximum value. Oh, okay. Oh, it can only change the pitch a little bit. Let's see if I can find what I really want here. It's like I need a per step transpose, like with a random chance. All right, those of you that know NerdSEQ, feel free to chime in. Oh, don't start the other patch. Does seem like it'll match, or it'll work pretty well at least, so that's good. But getting it to do what I want here. Seems like it's going to be a pain. There must be a way. I'm sure there is. I'm probably just not figured it out. It's certainly not pitch, because pitch only really influenced it a little bit. It wasn't enough to actually fully change the notes. So let's, because of that, and at least I confirmed that, let's go back to the sequencer and we'll put that track back on the CV expander like we really wanted. Okay, so pattern. Okay, so, oh, and it's already set up. That's handy. Hold on a minute. Because there's this thing, which is kind of what I was thinking of, which is that ability to have a modulator do additions to things. So it's where I feel like this somehow lies, is in that ability, but I'm not 100% there with understanding that yet. Let's set this to a short length again. Oh, and I need a trigger, right. Trigger 2. There. Okay. I'm gonna get these cables out everyone's way. Go on. Here we go. Let's put this, while we're messing around, just to make this a little bit more interesting sounding. Go back here and play everything. Stop. And put this through. Take this out of here, and we'll put it into maybe a phone. Whether we're going to come out in stereo or not, I don't know, because we're going to run out of stereo slots really quickly. For now, I need a longer cable. What else is new? It's becoming a catchphrase on this stream. I'll put that in. Probably going to need to clock this as well. It's just... Okay, let's clock this with something from Pam's. What do we got in here right now? We got divide 2, we could just use a ×1, I think, modifier from Pam's. This is obviously needs a resetting. I must have been messing around with it. Okay, now we got all the outputs in sync at least. Let's see what a gate like that's gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna be great or not, but at least it'll be in sync. Send that on up to, I believe it's this. Yeah, it is. Okay. How's that sound in totality? It's nice. Okay. I mean, obviously I'm going to want a more interesting pattern, but let's... Okay, I've added a couple more notes, but I'm not actually hearing the difference. Probably because I'm using the fundamental out, I think, from Odessa, so... no, it's not. I'm going into the root. What should be correct, track CV2 note. Yeah. We are in track 2, so this should be right. Actually, if I look at Odessa, you can see it is changing. So what have I done here? Ah, I can hear it. I can hear it. See if we can get us more. Of course, the problem is that we're actually only triggering this once. So it's fading out really fast, so we should copy. Paste? Or do I have to mark? Copy. Oh. Copy. No. Mark. That's what I wanted. Okay. Then I'll need another trigger here. So there's something. I don't know if that's really what I'm going to want, but. Probably not at all. Let's see what we can tweak with this here. Let's try changing Pam's clock rate here. Let's do a divide. How about that? And we'll mess around some more with MUFN. And some more with Odessa, because I don't really like this sound. Red won't matter here. That's a nice sound. adjust that a little bit, it gets interesting. Okay, got some interesting sounds out of it anyway. The pattern is just, at least it's in key. I have no idea what this is going to turn into. So. Hi Hester, thanks for dropping by, and hi from Canada. You haven't done the type of randomization it sounds like you want, but I suspect you'd need to combine the pitch or bass effects with a random effects just above or beside it to randomize the value 23 to 25. If you stack probability on top of the random call, then you can cause the pitch or bass to be changed only some of the time. Yeah, the thing was that pitch only seemed to modify like within maybe a couple semitones. It wasn't, and I guess it wasn't as wide an offset as I was expecting it to be. But let's see if I can. How many effect slots do we have? 3, right? So let's see if we can set something like that up here. Oh, sorry, one sec. My mic is all over the place. I'm just gonna fix this. 1 minute. So you said there's a bass effects, eh? So I can find it. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Set a little note. Glide. Modulators. The placeholders that you can't use. Pitch, which is fine, as you said. Glide CV, modulate. Individual CVs and the triggers and the individual modulations, the CV probabilities, the FX probabilities, or maybe it's an I haven't even actually got into the automators, but I wonder. Oh, those are only envelopes and LFOs, right? But you can't even use envelopes yet, or the input from other things as CVs. Trying to think if I can do that combined with anything else here. The TET doesn't really have any randomization in its sequencing, so that wouldn't be hugely helpful. Alright, well, I don't think I really need that yet, but there must be a way of doing that, otherwise that's something I'll be really missing out from the vector sequencer, so. Yeah, being fine rather than coarse. Yeah. Track transpose might affect more than we want. Yeah, this is probably true. Well, I guess this gets into more of how NerdSEQ is kind of all about composition rather than a lot of randomness, it seems like, but. Yeah, because you couldn't. Well, I guess no. Couldn't I do this? Couldn't I go? So we're setting the value of track CV2. So if I was to choose CV2, eventually, maybe. Oh wait, CV2 will be CV2 output on the. That's not what I want. I want external CV2 or something. Let me find it. External CVB. Oh, CV. Oh, that's right. There's different things. So we can use external CVA, CV2. I don't know. This feels like the problem I was running into yesterday. That should go out on external CV. But then out on track CV2 should be changing it, but it definitely does not because it's set at the max. Oh, new sequencers are hard to figure out. What happens if I delete this note? Now will it let me do that? CVA, CV2. Nope. Or wasn't there an external note? That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's what I want. Note A, CV2. I wonder if it's because it's already controlled by the track. Just make sure I'm not mishearing things. Yeah, technically CV2 I should be modifying this, but interestingly I am not. Well, growing pains with a new sequencer. It's what I would have expected. And hey, I promised you you're gonna see frustration. And you did. Oh, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. Weird. Definitely just to check. No, okay. It's not outputting out of a track that we haven't touched either. So that's odd. I must have the wrong one of these. External CV, external note, external glide, modulator. Because this is going to be CV1 through 6, so... I, of course, don't think it's note-based now, but... Yeah, okay, so that at least works. If I was to use CV2 here. Yeah. So that is how you output it. I don't think I can unfortunately output a note, but what that should have let me do if I set this to something. I should be able to set this last FX column to be FX2 chance, I think, right? FX2 probability. Let's give this a... Oh, of course I need to reset it now. Let's go back to 100%, right? No, something's still a little weird about this pattern. So it should be setting a trigger on every go. On here it should set a CV value some of the time. Let's just make this. So it should be setting a CV value, and that particular probability for doing that should be 100%. But it's certainly not. Let's get rid of these. And get rid of this again, and we'll put CV2 back in and see if we can make sense of this. CV2, right? Yep. It must be because I have a value in here. It doesn't know what to do. Let's see. Yep. That's exactly it. So I can't set the CV twice in here. I don't know that you can also, yeah, you obviously also can't set like a transpose by a certain amount. So, but like, let's see if I can make the probability thing work in the way I wanted it to now. I could use a modulator, but a modulator is not gonna do exactly what I want, I don't think. All right, so we want the probability stuff. We want not CV probability, FX2 probability of like half, and then where is it? FX2 probability back to 100%. Since when did I trigger another? That was weird. Yeah, I guess it's not changing it's just sending another trigger, but not changing the, Actually, no, it isn't. If you watch the flash on the LPG, it's actually skipping a trigger. Which that's not what this thing should be doing. Is it skipping it on the... I'm gonna set this probability really low. Yeah, it's interesting. So it's actually skipping the trigger that's on FX2, on the second FX slot here, even though it shouldn't be because I've set the probability back to 100%. Something is odd here. Ah, yes, that's a good point, Dirty. Yes, I forgot about that because the tables and yeah, because you can actually transpose by semitones. Right. Yeah. Which of course you can't do until the new firmware, which hopefully will be out soon. But this is still weird. I don't understand why this is happening. I've set the probability on FX slot 2, which should be turning it off for CV2 here. Huh. What can I do to maybe make this a little more... Let's change this to a different thing in the FX slot. We'll do modulate 2. How about that? And we'll turn this... up. I don't know why it's in 2 sections, but let's put this modulation into something on Odessa and see what we can get. We'll go tension should be pretty obvious, I think. Actually, that gets interesting. So how do you deal with this with probabilities? Because you're, well, I guess, hold on. All right, let's go back to what we were doing. Take this out. Delete this note. Go back to setting the value for CV2. So we've got probability that's apparently not working. Weird. Yeah, I don't know that this will work. It's like a, because what I'm thinking is you have to reset CV2 back to another value, otherwise it like stays at that value, which it's being done here. But you'd figure then that if I turned on, let's stop this and see if it has something to do with that. If I were to turn on FX2 probability to 100%. Oh, of course, that's why it wasn't doing the trigger, because I had the FX2's probability was set to 0, so it would never trigger. Yeah, okay. What am I doing? Okay, so this only needs to be some of the time then. But this isn't gonna 100% work. No, it's still doing it. It's still doing it. Yeah, Dirty, you may have to explain this to me and why the hell this is happening, because this is not right. If I set the probability of FX2 being applied to a lower value and then back to 100%, it should have a less chance of applying it on the step where it's at a lower value and then a 100% chance of applying it here. But the triggers, no, it seems to still be at 100%, or it seems to still be at this value and like not get reset, which is bizarre. Must be something I'm doing wrong about this or not understanding about how NerdSEQ works in this respect. Okay, but anyway, I don't really need to mess around with this because I don't think I'm gonna do any of this. At least for the moment. Let's see. See if I can get something sounding interesting here. Get rid of the break here. Put the break back in somewhere a little bit further along. Oh, wait. Eventually it will loop again. Copy this, paste it there, copy this, paste it here, maybe, copy. Oh, no. Oh, I gotta read this section on doing this again. I want to copy this effect and paste it there. There we go. Not sure if I want this to be like a sort of arpeggio or not. Move this break. Oh, shoot. Down a bunch. Whoa, further. Copy. That's not what I wanted. Ah, no. Keeps doing not what I want. I want to copy. Mark. Copy. Why? Copy. Why aren't you copying? Must be doing something wrong. Let's start from the beginning here. We got 1, 2, and 4 as find the trigger 2 like that. All right, so you're gonna work now there. 4. Okay. I gotta find the what note I like, or that's kind of what I was going for. Okay. Sorted on all this myself, but I recall that some effects act immediately, some on the next step, and some only when the pattern next starts. Ah, okay. I gotta read that again. Mark to copy, copy to paste. Oh, you just pressed. Yeah, okay. Interactions between auto gate behavior and the trigger lane, and effects can bump right. Paste range is shift mark, start mark. Oh, okay. This is where I was getting confused. Okay. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get some sort of interesting pattern out of this from Mimeophon. So we'll It's like weirdly phasing. Interesting. Too much halo starts to interfere with the underlying sound for sure. I'm gonna change the clock rate on Pam's again. Let's try something new. Instead of divide 3, let's try and multiply 3 or something. Or maybe multiply 4. That'll keep things really that's more cool. Okay. Alright, I like this. Interesting control with the color. Started as a very subtle delay. Just feel like we want a little more mix. It's almost nice full wet too, with that sort of high pass sound, or low pass sound rather. Okay. I'm definitely going to refresh myself on the manual tonight. Okay, so there's with the color knob, starts to get nice and subtle, sort of in the background, which I like. Okay, so let's make this a little more interesting and get some more stuff out of the NerdSEQ for this. Let's get some of the modulation going since we added that modulation track. So since the track mod is to, the offsets to the right, you said that means it's from 0 to 10 volts. Of course, I don't know what the inputs in are offhand for all of Odessa, but we're gonna try some things. So let's, oh, what the heck? That was weird. Actually, I also want to try, I'm gonna try, whoa, plugging into, not through the Hell expander. I think it's the same effect, just plugging directly into pitch volt per octave, but yeah, in this case it is, since we're only using one voice. We might want to use more than one though, so I'll go back. But this blue guy here is our mod. So let's try a few different things and see. Maybe warp? The especially nice thing being that we can see output, or a representation of what the mod output is doing. So let's do this. Track mod 2. I don't want a note. I want. Oh, you could have envelopes here supposedly, but you can't. Voltage is what I really want. So here, watch as I watch this light. As I increase this, it gets brighter. Just gonna mute our other one so we can listen to this on its own. Not grabbing as much effect as I would have liked here. Let's try density. It's an interesting sound. I like it. How about so that can add some interestingness if you don't go too high. So let's see if we can do it this way. We want a random chance to apply some to have a certain modulation value. So I think what we could do there is set I'll make sure that it always resets to 0 here. So now we have a modulation value that then gets reset, which I guess we could maybe do in the immediately following line here, so that we still reserve that spot for something else if we wanted it. And then in the FX slot, I ought to be able to do a probability, I think. Let's see. CV probability, FX probability. CV. Oh, I guess maybe this would be track 2. I don't know what CV2 probability is. Probably, because I hope it means, since it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6, right? 3, 4, 5, and 6. It feels like it lines up with the tracks in here. Well, but not tracks, but. So if I make this 0, does it affect it? Let's try what you were talking about and make it happen at the preceding. Nope. That's unfortunate. I would have figured. Although, wait, hold on a second. Maybe it's just never resetting? Let's see. To 0, and then probability 2 to 64. No, if we put them here instead, to 0, and here to 64. This must not be the right probability thing. It's all good. Thanks for coming by, Jujur. Drop by whenever, drop out whenever. I'll probably be here for another hour or so today, probably. Assuming this doesn't end up frustrating me too much. There's definitely something I'm missing that I got to reread about how all these probability things work, because they're not working the way I would expect here. which is not impressing me. I wonder if there's... That was all the probabilities that existed on this. So maybe there isn't a probability for what I want when I'm working on the... Mod 2. Let's see if I can at least... If I get rid of these and increase this, and then here I turn it down. So that was the same effect as I had. Now, if I use FX3 to say FX2 probability, still weird. So, but let's see, if I put the same thing here. Yeah, there's definitely something I don't get about those probabilities. So in this case, I'm looking to set the values, but only cause the output to change probabilistically. Yeah, so like I want, if we're looking, oh, whoops. If we're looking here, I set a mod value quite high, but I only want that mod value to be set high a certain percentage of the time. That's what I'm trying to do. Oh, sorry, the cables are in the way again. See if I can route them around here a little and see better. Yeah, it should be stay. Oh, you're gonna fall, okay. There we go. Whoops, this should be down to 0. Or wait, this was supposed to be 0. This is supposed to be 64. That's what I figured it should do, is the probability of applying FX2 is 0, so it shouldn't do FX2. But it does anyway. And then the probability of applying it here is correct because it, well, I mean, it sets the mod to 0, but it's like the probability things aren't actually even applying. And I tried setting it in the step beforehand too, and that also doesn't seem to do anything. I'm gonna bring up the manual on my phone. Let's see if that tells me anything more. Yeah, right. So that's what I thought. Okay, at least I'm not off in what I imagined to be the right way. All right, manual. Let's see if it says something weird about this when it's in CV Expander. Okay. Oh, no, those are just... I need the section on the pattern screen to see about this. Not automations, not tables, not patches. Okay, so the pattern screen with the CV16. Let's see. This is about outputting envelopes, blah, blah, blah. Where is the stuff on... It's interesting, because this... It says all the other parameters are exactly the same as for local CV and gate tracks, so I need to read those ones about the probability and see if I'm doing something wrong. Not MIDI. Yeah, it says add probability for the FX2 parameter plus value, same as the probability setting, but then it gives probability to the first FX parameter. I think that's a mistake in the manual. By that, you can add probability to every parameter. Add a probability to the pattern part. It adds the probability of a sample to be played or stopped with a given percentage. Same as the note probabilities. Okay, let's find those. It's not in the sample pattern screen. It's got a very weird description of probability. Probability percentage for the note column sets the percentage of the probability mode for the music notes. The probability mode can skip notes based on the probability percentage. Yeah. The chance of probability is based on each step. For example, with 75%, if every note is set with 100 steps and those 100 steps are being played, then only 75 notes will be played or changed on average. What the hell does that mean? It also affects the automatic gate setting. So, it feels like maybe I'm misinterpreting what this is doing somehow. If I set all of these to 0, does it cancel it? No, it still does exactly what you'd think it does. Let's see, based on what you were saying, whether it treats 0 as 0% probability or disabling probability. Let's see. It does say a probability value of 0 or 64 will turn the probability off. So you can't have probability disable it entirely. So if I make this 1, now it's on for every step. Or of course, this should be 0. Okay, so that's weird. So that implies to me that you can't... how the heck do you do this then? So like this gives it a 1% chance to do the thing in FX block 2. But then I can't tell it to now stop doing that, because if I do this, it just turns off the probability. Something about this is very weird that I don't understand. So now I've turned off the probability, so now it's always, but... Oh, now it's... Okay, so now it's gone back to always doing that one note, which is okay. It seems like it's setting the probability for that to be set on all of your steps, for this particular value that's in your FX2 slot on this step to be set for all steps. Does that make sense? Holy cow, this is complicated. Yes, it has escalated from that's interesting to what the hell does that mean. This probability stuff is very, very complex. And yes, I did, Jazura. That was my little secret other thing, is I now have 2 FXAs, which are very, very handy. The note-related probabilities focus on track types with note lanes, for example, modular and sample. Right. That would make sense. I mean, but here I'm using a FX-based one, so it's just confusing. So if I give this a 1% chance, it seems to immediately be like 100% chance. Let me just make sure this made sense. What were the range of values here? It says from 1% to 99%. Chance of probability is based on each step. And the one that says for FX is probability percentage for the FX2 effect column. Here, every kind of effect parameter from the FX column can be involved in the probability. What the hell does that mean? Involved in the probability. Okay. Because it seems like as soon as I set this to 1%, as soon as I set this to 1%, it seems to be like every note. Just which is not what I would have expected. A 1% chance to apply. Now, does this change on every note if I... Yep. And then if I go back to turning off probability, now it goes back to what I actually have. Oh man, this is different and weird, and I don't know if I like it. It's much harder to reason about probability here than it was in Vector, for sure. Damn. Okay. Let me just read what you guys are saying. Can you try removing PRF2 from row 2, just leaving PRF in row 1? Okay. Thomas speak for being able to apply probability to every other. Okay. Okay, so let's drop this. And I'll turn this on to just 1% again. See, then suddenly it's like it's 100% and the FX2 is applied to every step. Which... Is it inverted? Is that 99? It must be inverted. Because now this feels more like 1% chance. At 63. Which is bizarre, because doesn't he say... I thought the manual just said... a probability value of 0 or 64, which is 100 decimal. We'll turn the probability off. So is this... Okay, now I'm really confused. So it's inverted. This is like a 99% chance. Okay, what? All right. I gotta think about this. Let me... So if this is a 1% chance of it... Hold on. It's applying on every loop, though. Does this mean it's a 1% chance to have that same value apply to subsequent steps? That must be what it is. So... Yeah, I feel like that's what it is, which is weird. Take longer to wrap your head around all the math. Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, something set in one row can carry forward. Yeah, I definitely do get that. So, like... So in FX lane 2... there's a mod 2 value that's a high voltage and a mod 2 value that's a 0 voltage. And it's 0, and it's on the mod output, so it should be 0 to 10 volts. So I get, you can't see it because it's not plugged into an output that has a light, but you get a different sound out of Odessa for sure. Like that first note, that one is always different. But it seems... It seems to me like, okay, do I need to do this? If I set this second mod slot to the same value, or the next step rather, FX2 mods to the same value, and then it's set to 0. Or no, because that's not helpful. Just trying to figure out how I can get this to do what I want, which is I want this value, this mod value here applied sometimes, not all of the time. It's like it applies a global probability. Like, maybe, is this the way, am I seeing the mod output always high or always low? No, I can see the mod output, let's put it somewhere that's more evident rather than just hearing it. So, if we look in the top here, we drop this into density, for instance, watch the light. It's high, oh, I took it out, that's why we can't hear anything different. So, let me set this to 63 again. There's one step where it's high, which is, this is like the default, what I programmed into that FX slot. Makes sense to me. But it feels like what happens when you change this to something like, you know, like less than or more than 50% chance or whatever, it feels like when you hit that step, it then has a chance to decide, or then it decides whether all the rest of your steps will have that value applied to them or not. And it seems like the next one after it, let's go back down here. It seems like the next one after it doesn't actually affect that. It's all chosen by this first step, and then the second one like doesn't reset it. You know what I mean? Although, maybe I'm doing something... Can I remove pair from... Yeah, alright, let's do that. From row 2. Okay, we'll get rid of this. Oh. Now, oh, there we go. Okay, just took a while to choose. So it's still doing the same thing where when it hits that first one, it chooses for the whole remainder until it hits that step again, which, okay, that given how NerdSEQ sort of carries over into subsequent steps, that makes sense. It hits that thing, chooses the probability, and then decides whether it's going to keep this value applied until the next time it encounters this, right? But I would figure that there would be a way to say, now ignore that probability value and just do what I say. Which in this case should be 0. Let's see. I'm going to set this just to a really... So it's almost always doing this. Oh, now it's not. What is it doing? Has it reinverted itself? Okay, so now... Is it doing what I want now? I think it's doing what? It's doing what I want now. That can't be right. What? I'm just watching the CV output. Now it's doing what I would expect. Now that I have only that one. Oh, no, it's not. What is going on here? So sometimes it's turning on and staying on until its next revolution. But sometimes it's immediately resetting after that step. What is going on here? I definitely have mod 2 being reset. Let's make it more frequent again. Like I said, it's almost as if the probability applies to every note from then on out. But then you can't reset it. Alright, let me read what you said here. I suspect that the apparent inversion was actually coming from disabling probability in the second round. Okay. We have 2 steps worth of mod values in FX2, and that probability is being applied to both. Okay. Right, so there's like a 50% chance that I do either of these two things because the probability is persisting to the next step. Okay, wow, this is weird. So then how would I do... At one point in there you had 2 mod values in FX2 and we're switching probability on and off in 2 rows of X3. Lots of permutations. Okay, I see how that could be the case. But now how do I get this to do what I kind of want, which is for it to only have a percentage chance for this one step to apply its mod value, and then have essentially afterwards have the probability of applying this FX2 column be 100% for the remainder of the steps. Because that's the oddity with all this, is I feel like that's a really basic thing you should be able to do. Let's try to add it back in out of curiosity. Because value of 0, value of 64 is supposed to turn off the probability. That would imply to me that in this next step, now it should definitely always be 0, but it's definitely not. It's actually now, well, I'll turn down. Just watching the values again to see if I can see any pattern from this, but there's not. It's still just going either high, 100% high or 100% low for every step. If I set you to 0, I mean, that also disables it according to the manual, but like no different of a way. Let's see what you said. Like a 2-row setup in FX3 is what you want for what you described. You might be bumping into the same row versus next row impact. I'm not sure to which row those probability effects apply, so it might be that we just need those FX3 entries shifted by a row up or down. Okay, well, let's try that. So if we go to 0B and set this, so that's shifted a row up. And so is this. Let me watch. Oh, maybe it's doing it now. Let's give it a greater chance. Or is that a lesser chance? Because I've been confused by this being inverted. Okay. Let's give it a very high percentage chance. Okay, this looks like it's working. Just waiting to see if it will not trigger one of these times. Turn it down a bit. Okay. That seems to be doing what I want now. I'm gonna put it back in the... See, now it's occasionally skipping the 1 mod value. Okay, I think we figured that out. Thank you very, very much for that. Where, I'm gonna have to look in the manual. Where did you see that there's these certain things that apply next step versus the step that you're already on? But it is doing what I want, so now we can go back to what... I don't want it that high of a percentage. I also think I don't want it that high of a mod value. Okay. So maybe not in the manual, one of these little hidden things. Okay. I'll have to do some Googling about that later. All right, figured that out. I can do what I thought was a basic thing. It's just, there's some gotchas. Whew. That's great, because I was about to be like, oh my god, do I have to already say I can't use the NerdSEQ because it can't do this basic thing? But good. This is what I wanted. Okay, so now what were we actually doing with this song before we got diving down this rabbit hole of probabilities? I wanted to try some other things, which included, I would like to see an LFO out of here. Which actually means I could probably get rid of the track mod column here because we're having to use the FX slots to do it. So let's change that. Instead of track mod, we'll use external CV1. How about that? Okay, so now we should be able to get an LFO going in here. Let's find one. So here's a bunch of different LFO types that we have. Let's just see if we can at least visualize this LFO to start, because I'm curious what it looks like, how it resets, all these kind of things, because I haven't really played around with this yet. So we're gonna come out of more CV1 here. What we should have is some kind of sine wave-ish thing. We're not gonna be able to, I don't really have like an oscilloscope, but we can put it into something like the exponential FM, which is gonna look weird and sound weird. Woo. This light. Almost feels like it's not, where it's just very, very slow. Okay, so that's interesting. I just was experimenting around because there's all these different controls for the modulators in, so I can start an LFO and I can stop it, which gets the interesting effect of brief period of LFO and then nothing, which is kind of cool, but not exactly what I want. I think the main problem here is perhaps the amplitude of the speed, so let's increase the speed first. There we go. Now that's more like what I would have expected. You can see it pulsing and pulsing and pulsing. So good. Okay. Of course, too bad you can't sync this to a clock, but you know, what do you want? It does everything else. Okay, let's amplitude maybe might not matter too much here because, well, it depends on where we put it. Let's put this into something and just see what we sort of start getting. Warp might actually not be in a good position for this, so. Let's turn the speed down a bit. Maybe I will turn the amplitude up a bit. Now, being that this is coming out of a, one of these CV outs where it's swapped or switched to the right, according to what someone said earlier, that means that this is actually a 0 to 10 volt, which is probably not what we want. We probably want -5 to 5, so we'll switch this. Let's just see. Yeah. Although I think the input for this may be, just judging by the bounciness, this may actually be a 10 volt input anyway, so. Okay. Yes, this is the price I pay by wanting to try all of the advanced stuff like right off the bat, yeah. It is true. All right, we're gonna try this in a few more spots. Let's try partials. This could be interesting. Not as interesting as I would have thought. How about the banks? How about... Oh, that's adding some interest, eh? I swapped it back to a +5, -5 volt LFO again, so the lights are mesmerizing at least. It is adding a bit more interest to it, so okay. What about a different LFO type? Random one could be good. Yeah, so I could see this being a good case for maybe a second pattern, because it's cool with the added randomness, but I don't know you'd want that. I don't think I'd want that right away. I want to be able to add that in later. So what I'd need to do is to copy this pattern. Let's see how well we can do that. Mark. Okay. And then we need to put it in a separate spot. But that's just the clipboard, right? That's not actually the pattern. Manual. How do you copy patterns again? I know that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there was a way. See if I find it first, or if MV Dirty finds it first. Tells me first. I don't want to copy a block from the pattern. I kind of want it from the sequence screen, right? Or duplicate a pattern, that would work too. Clone a pattern by pressing Shift OK with the cursor on a pattern number. Okay, good. Shift OK. That's in 4 now. Okay, good. So this can go to 3. This could be 4. And in pattern 3, we can delete this entirely. And then in pattern 4, we have it. Okay, so let's see if this makes sense. It does what I think it will. So I should be able to cue it up to switch into this. Okay, so now it's running. You can tell the LFO is running because of that little tilde next to the 1. Okay, so now I should be able to go back to the other pattern, and that should cause the LFO to stop running. I hope, but I don't know. We're waiting for it to be switched over to. Okay, so it should be switched over to now, so let's just check. That feels like it's still running. light. Oh yeah, definitely still running. Okay, so I bet you that what I need to do is in pattern 3, I will need to do a oh shoot, no. I need to do this thing where I choose the LFO, but I choose stop. I think that will work. I'm gonna put it in the linear FM to watch again. Oh, sorry, I wasn't on the right screen. So I put in the pattern that's not supposed to have the LFO running, I put an explicit stop, which hopefully should stop the LFO when you switch back to it. So, all right, let's try this again. So that's this whole row, which will start. It's interesting that it actually has a value. So, okay, there is voltage. So we'll swap over to the next pattern now. Now it should have started a random LFO, I think. Maybe. Yep, okay. It's definitely a random LFO, and then if we go back to the first, it appears to have stopped the LFO, but of course it's going to stop on a value, not on 0, so we might have to go in here and also... we don't have any FX slots left. I was going to say use an FX slot to set it manually to 0, but that's I guess in the interim slot here we could set it to a voltage of 0. I don't know if that'll work. Doesn't appear like it has, but that's weird. Yes, you were right about the copy pattern. There's definitely still voltage coming out of here, which is not what I would have expected. Okay, I'll go back to the patterns here. Let's have a look at this. Change this LFO back to a sine wave so we can see it more easily. I'll ramp the speed up. That'll make it easier to determine if it's at least running or what's going on. So, start this pattern. So it definitely is running now, as you can even hear. Now if I switch to the other pattern, it stops the LFO, but it freezes it at a voltage, which is not great. I told it stop the CV1 modulator, yeah. And then I said set external CV1. Wait, is that not the right one? It might not be the right one. No, it is. Because this is all on external CV1. So I want the voltage to be 0. I wonder if it's supposed to be in between. Let's just see. I think it might just be the... might be an indication. Really what I need is this thing should have something that can tell me a voltage. Let's see. What is the name of that app that tells me what this thing can do? Modes. Right. The mode that shows me voltages. I'm fairly certain there is one. was only a pitch and frequency reference, so that's not... Actually, I think there might be something on the assimilator. Let's see. Ah, there is actually, yeah. If I take this... and I drop it in the sample input. Now I can see what kind of values we're setting in it. I need a DC coupled, yeah, okay. I actually can't see it as much as I would have thought. That's weird. I think that the value in between must be... Oh, I'm in notes now. Whoops. Voltage. That doesn't give me what I thought it would, which is a more visual look at the CV value. What else do I have that could give me that? What can I visualize? Oh, a VCA. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so middle, we got a VCA here, so I can see that 0 on a +5 to -5 is, of course, -5. So... yeah, there's a point at which it switches over. Probably have to look up what the halfway point is exactly to be able to set it to 0. I gotta remember more of my hex. Get it there. Something like that, close to 0. And looks like it up there too now. Okay, so let's try this again. Triggering the pattern with the LFO. The LFO comes on, triggering the pattern that has the stop with the set value, comes off. Cool, all right. You read again. More, yeah. I find it hard to justify a eurorack oscilloscope to some degree. I'm eventually going to get another 1U, a 1U Ornament and Crime, which has a okay oscilloscope, so I might just be going with that. Symphonic guitar. I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do. Okay, so this is... things are starting to make sense here. I still wish that you could... that stopping the LFO wouldn't leave it at the voltage that it was at. I wish that it would, like, clear the voltage, but I mean... that was on 7D6. Let's just... I'm just gonna delete that row, because I want to see if I was just messing something up, or if that really is what happened. So we'll start this again, get the LFO going, and then we'll start this one again. Okay, I obviously messed something up, because now it's fine. It's resetting to 0. Well, to be fair, maybe not. Because I might have caught the LFO at a point where it was actually going to 0. Let's go modify this LFO again. Turn the speed down so I can catch it when it's not. Oh yeah, okay, so stop does reset the value. Okay, perfect, good. Oh man, this is, I can see why this is so powerful, but also why this is so complicated. Holy cow, okay. So now I have the option to switch between these two patterns, one of which, when I put it in the right thing, and set the LFO up again to what we had before, which was random, and I'll make it faster. Yeah, so now it's messing with things a little bit. That's cool. All right. Awesome. You got your 1U back from Plummet. What did you do? Did you have to send it back to them for some reason? Livestock Shepherd module. I haven't checked, to be honest. That was something that was on their radar. I remember around the time I got my maze, which I haven't been using as much as I'd like, but... Okay, so we've got some variations to this. So this is good. Where do I want to go from here? Oh, they're in Israel. Jeez, that's a long way to ship it. There's a guy here in Canada now, actually, who's doing the same 1U ornament and crime things. The only thing is that he doesn't know how they're doing the internal hookup to the IntelliGel case for the USB MIDI. I don't think I really care about that anymore because I'm not really doing that whole chatbot thing I had before, but I think I'd probably buy through him. Triggering wasn't working right. Brutal. That sucks. And you said that they were didn't know how to do business. Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna name these patterns to make sure. So let's see, nerd, I think. No, where do I name it again? Resync, track closure, suppose track setup? No. There was a way. Have to be in the pattern? Yes, I do, okay. Gotta remember which one I'm in now. Alright, this one. Oh, this is where it'd be nice to have a keyboard. Okay, so this is okay, how do I do this? Oh, if I hit OK, that probably helps. RND space, and this is harmonic factor, so we can say that works. Ready. Oh. Wait, hold on. I screwed this up. I changed the name of something else. What did I do? No, I added the pattern name. Yeah, okay, so the pattern name is there. Oh, that's probably the project name. Yeah, there's the pattern name right there. Okay. On that note, I should actually save this. What was I calling this again? I think I just called it... my goodness, I can't spell. S-T-R-E-A-A. Oh, I'm at a limit now? Damn. Okay. S-T-R-M? Yep, okay. Oh, okay, good to know. Saving the project does not continue the pattern playing. Yeah, that was the name that I was looking for. Okay. Yeah, it is a separate thing. The guy here in Canada just had no idea how it was made, and I don't think he has IntelliGel cases to test it with, so no luck there. That's okay. Like I said, I probably don't really need it. And I think in my current plan it's going here. I can't remember. It's either going here or it's going here. One of the two. Okay. Just to experiment to glue these together a bit more. Let's put Typhoon on a aux send. I don't know if these are going to be long enough, but we'll... Oh yes, they are. So we'll put Typhoon on aux send and just try... sending a couple of these things over. Post on aux 1 helps if I put them the right way around and not inverted. I think. Out on 1, yeah. This actually needs more gain almost. Sorry. Why am I not hearing anything from Typhoon? Let's see. Similar limit to Oracle DB names. Yes, there is a lot of playing with the screen. This is a good point. Keeping it close would probably be a good idea. Okay, so what am I doing wrong here? We got aux 1's out. That's going in, coming out to the return. aux 1 isn't muted. We try and send to aux 1, post fader. Let's try sending 7 here to aux 1. We still can't hear it. What has happened? Maybe I got some crap cables? Let's see. I've had a lot of them dying on me lately, so... Trolled you with sound. Okay, aux 1 out to the in on Typhoon. The out to return. Something odd is happening. What have I done here? It's like the aux sends suddenly aren't working. Channel 7. Oh, well, pre-fader. There we go. Okay. Just had the output all the way down. That doesn't help. Okay, we don't want much, if any, of that sent out just yet. Oof, too much. Try to add a little bit of accent to both of these. Then I'm gonna mess around with, oops, put these both on pre-fader. You can still hear them. Noisy. We're in clouds mode here, so it's possible I may want to change out of that, but wow, the reverb got noisy. Okay, how about instead of clouds, we'll use FX Aid. Let's find a good Hey, thanks, MV Dirty. Thanks for dropping by. That really helped. Yeah, I don't think I would have figured that out otherwise. So, no, I've had 2 or 3 of these cables, like they're Hosa ones, right? So they're not that great. Just completely give out and refuse to transmit signal anymore. In the last, oh god, 6 months probably. So that's been a pain, but what can you do? Okay, let me just look at my... I'm gonna try filter vowel. Let's see if we can get something cool out of that. Ooh, there's a weird one in there. That. Should be filter vowel. See ya, MV Dirty. Thanks. Okay, send it a little more. And let's see what we can do with this. The dry wet is dry wet as you expect. This is the vowel control here. It's mono in, mono out. See what it sounds like as I tweak this in the... Interesting, but I don't think it suits. Let's go go back a few settings because there's something interesting in there a little earlier on in this. Delay valve, let's delay into shimmer, delay into reverb, magneto delay, comb delay, and really overwhelming, a lo-fi junkie. Jeez. This delay is spooky, but it's probably not going to show through this much. What about back to it's cloud reverb blue tremolo reverb? No. All right. What about going further into this, like? We got that's the filter vowel again. Found some sweet spot. It feels like there's a sweet spot there. I don't know if it's worth a send effect, but it's cool. Okay, the subvetter is crazy. Really gets distorted. Okay, what else we got? Let's see. Space noises. Have I customized my FX8 yet? Yes, I have. I'm working off my little printed sheet right here, where I put a few things, took a few things out, put a few things in, like lo-fi junkie and more of the modes that are sort of on the big sky and whatnot. So, well, this is definitely not going to be used. I don't really want a flanger or a phaser. This is a pitch shifter, so it does add something interesting. Not much. Pitch shifter dual stepped. I think I left this one. Oh, it's because it's semitone pitch increments. Pitch shifter up, down, boring, chorus into reverb. This one is cool. This is the chorale, or the choral, or whatever you want to call it, mode in from Big Sky. Let's knock things around some more. I realize I have some duplicated ones in here. Whoops. I could try the black hole reverb as a glue factor. Stereo hall medium. That's the black hole, supposedly. definitely is. I'll try a shimmer. I don't know that it's going to be any good, but... Up and down octave. With a decay time and an amount. I don't know, what does that sound like? To me, that works well on this. But then you get this. Maybe not quite that much, but I would probably look at modulating it with the aux send. Oh, but I can't for channel 7, right? You can't modulate, you can only modulate the aux send for the first 4 channels. Oh, that sucks. I guess I could just modulate the dry wet? I don't know. Or I suppose this second knob. I can definitely modulate that. Right? I A-B'd that Lo-Fi Junkie against like the FX8 version of it against the pedal, and same settings, it's basically identical, which is crazy. Who would have thought? Okay. I think I'm feeling like I'm running out of creative juice for today here. So that's another thing that I find when I'm doing this sort of stuff is I can spend a lot of time trying to make something, but after a while, you sort of get bogged down and then you have to take a step away from it. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. You don't get anywhere. And my brain got a little bit fried by figuring out that probability thing too. So I think we're gonna stop here for today. And then we'll be back again tomorrow, again at 1 Mountain Time or 7 UTC, and we'll continue with this and see if we can make this into something more more track-like. We got a couple pieces to it, and we got kind of delayed by the whole NerdSEQ interestingness, but hopefully we will proceed to something a little cooler tomorrow. So thanks everybody who's dropped by. It's been great to see so many people around actually, which has been cool. So I will speak to hopefully most of you tomorrow. So take it easy. I'll see you then.